20. Black actors that vanished and were never seen again. One day they were starring in hit TV shows and blockbuster films, then suddenly they were gone. No headlines, no goodbyes, just silence. From rising stars to seasoned legends, these 20 black actors vanished without a trace, leaving fans confused and the industry eerily quiet. What happened behind the scenes? Were they pushed out, or did they walk away from fame on their own terms? This isn't just about missing careers, it's about missing answers. Watch until the end, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence, because their stories deserve to be remembered. Richard Timothy Jones. Richard Timothy Jones emerged in the late 1990s as one of the most promising black actors of his generation. With a confident presence and compelling emotional depth, he captivated audiences in the cult classic film The Wood 1999, portraying Mike, a role that positioned him alongside rising talents like Omar Epps and Taye Diggs. His performance wasn't just charming. It was relatable and heartfelt, giving him a solid place in Hollywood's ensemble of young, bankable stars. Following the success of The Wood, Jones gained further acclaim through his role as Bruce Van Exel, Amy's romantic partner, in the CBS legal drama Judging Amy, which ran from 1999 to 2005. His chemistry with lead actress Amy Brenneman was widely praised, and he became a familiar face in living rooms across America. Fans were confident he was destined for leading man status. He had the charisma, the talent, and the look that casting directors craved. Yet, after his notable appearance as Gavin in Tyler Perry's Why Did I Get Married 2007, where he played Janet Jackson's troubled husband, his visibility began to dwindle. While Jones never officially stepped away from acting, his presence in major film and television projects noticeably decreased. There were no press releases, no interviews explaining his shift, and no headlines announcing retirement. Speculation arose. Some believed he had grown disenchanted with the industry's politics, while others assumed he chose family and personal growth over constant exposure. Whatever the reason, his retreat was gradual yet complete. Social media discussions often reflect confusion, with longtime fans asking, "Where is Richard T. Jones now?" Today, he remains a mystery. An actor who once seemed poised for superstardom, yet faded into the background without a scandal or a send-off. His vanishing act remains one of Hollywood's quietest enigmas. Misty Upham. Misty Upham, a gifted performer with both Native American and black ancestry, seemed destined for greatness. Born in Auburn, Washington, she earned critical acclaim following her portrayal of Minnie in Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained 2012. That role, though brief, exhibited her ability to convey haunting depth and emotional intensity. She also delivered a strong supporting performance as Jana in August Osage County 2013, a film that showcased Susan Sarandon and Meryl Streep amid domestic turmoil. Upham's talent was striking a presence that hinted at much more to come. Despite this promise, her personal battles intensified. She struggled with bipolar disorder, and in the year leading up to October 2014, those challenges deepened. Her mental health issues resulted in tense moments with local authorities in her hometown. On October 5, 2014, she disappeared from her Auburn residence. Days later, her body was discovered in a ravine along the White River. The official coroner's report listed blunt force trauma from an apparent accidental fall as the cause of death. However, her family vehemently questioned that finding, suggesting investigators may have overlooked evidence, possibly because she was Native American. Outrage and sorrow grew as loved ones demanded a more thorough inquiry. At age 32, her life ended just when her career seemed to be taking flight. Amid rumors of unfinished scripts and pending auditions, her sudden departure from acting felt jarringly premature. While her death has entered documentary discussions about underreported cases involving Indigenous women, no definitive closure has arrived. Misty Upham's story stands as a sorrowful chapter in modern Hollywood history, a reminder of how brilliance can be eclipsed by tragedy. She vanished not because she walked away, but because her future was ruthlessly stolen from her. Tahir Moore. Tahir Moore arrived as a rising star in the digital comedy realm, building momentum through viral clips on Instagram and TikTok. He specialized in observational humor crafting sketch videos about everyday life, family dynamics, relationship pitfalls, and workplace frustrations, delivered with infectious energy and keen timing. As his follower count swelled in 2019 and 2020, media outlets took notice and rumors circulated about upcoming appearances in independent comedy films. Observers sensed that mainstream recognition was imminent. Yet around late 2021, his social media accounts abruptly went dormant. The last post, an unassuming slice-of-life clip, remained frozen in time with no explanation or farewell. Followers flooded the comments section with concerns asking, "Is he okay? And what happened?" But no replies came. His profile stayed active, his handle intact, but the voice that once filled timelines was absent. No public announcement, no press release, no status update. Speculation ran rampant. Some friends offered that Moore might have intentionally taken a break to ease burnout. Others worried about possible mental health struggles. Still, no confirmation emerged. His comedic voice, unique, animated, inviting, quieted without warning. Despite efforts by fans and colleagues to reach out, no response arrived. In the absence of new material since that final 2021 sketch, his disappearance remains unresolved. Without confirmation of retirement or mishap, Tahir Moore drifted into obscurity in plain sight. His silence continues to trouble those who once laughed with him. In a digital age where artists build their careers online, his story reveals how sudden withdrawal can leave a distant, unanswered echo. Lamont Bentley. Lamont Bentley entered the spotlight as Hakeem Campbell on Moesha, where his lively, witty presence brightened every scene. Debuting on UPN in 1996, the show centered on Brandy's charismatic protagonist and her ensemble cast, with Bentley quickly becoming a fan favorite through 2001. His natural comedic flair and heartfelt delivery endeared him to viewers, prompting appearances in the Parkers and independent dramas post-Moesha. Yet behind the laughter lay deeper disillusionment. Friends and family noted his growing frustration. Bentley felt miscast and disillusioned by the repetitive cycle of Hollywood opportunities. By 2004, he had reduced his public engagements, avoiding industry events and interviews. According to those close, he was contemplating an exit from acting, hoping to pursue music or simply step away from the industry's spotlight. Tragically, he never reached that crossroads on his own terms. On January 19, 2005, in Ventura County, California, Bentley was driving late at night when his vehicle veered off the road, colliding with a tree. He died at just 31 years old, a loss that shocked fans and colleagues. In interviews following his death, many expressed regret that he never got to forge a new path on his own terms. His untimely passing ended not only a beloved career, but the personal reinvention he seemed to crave. Lamont Bentley's demise goes beyond an accident. It robbed us of any opportunity to witness his next chapter. His story reminds us how fame can both elevate and trap, and how sometimes the hardest roles are played off-screen. He vanished not by choice, but because fate intervened before he could decide. Lorenzo Tucker. In the 1920s and 30s, Lorenzo Tucker captivated black audiences as the Black Valentino through his performances in race films like The Duke is Tops and Birthright. These independently produced cinema pieces offered rare leading roles to black talent during segregation, and Tucker's handsome visage and magnetic screen presence made him a standout. His career coincided with silent-era heroics and early talkies, carving a unique niche far beyond typecast stereotypes. Yet by the late 1940s, Tucker's pulsating on-screen light dimmed. He seemingly vanished from the public sphere, retreating into personal privacy. No farewell statement, no pivot to stage or radio, just an abrupt ending to a career that by all accounts could have continued. While many of Tucker's contemporaries faced the double bind of rampant racial barriers and industry marginalization, his departure was especially curious, because it wasn't due to scandal or tragedy, he simply disappeared. Relegated to scant mentions and faded press clippings, Tucker remained absent from mainstream awareness for decades. Documentation of his life post-Hollywood is scarce, though it's known he lived until 1986. Those who studied early black cinema suggest he may have pursued other passions, perhaps community work, or a complete break from the creative world. Lorenzo Tucker's story challenges our understanding of success and legacy. Even the most dazzling stars can vanish into obscurity not through scandal or tragedy, but silence, and an unwillingness to play along with a system that restricted them. In his case, leaving wasn't fading, it was erasing the boundaries of who and what he could be. His disappearance wasn't loud, but it echoes across film history. Calvin Lockyer. Calvin Lockhart, born in 1934 in the Bahamas, was a captivating presence in the 1960s and 70s film scene. His roles in Cotton Comes to Harlem, 1970, and Melinda, 1972, positioned him as a leading figure during the blaxploitation era. With a smooth, charismatic style, he commanded screens alongside icons like Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier, and even played the drug lord King Willie in Predator II, 1990. Lockhart seemed poised for a long-lasting career. Yet, in a move that perplexed many, he chose to step away from Hollywood deliberately. In the late 1990s, the actor quietly returned to his native Bahamas, refusing red carpet exposure and public interviews. He didn't cite fame fatigue or scandal. Instead, he sought peace, privacy, and reconnection with his roots. While many peers leveraged their stardom for residual fame, Lockhart wanted none of it. For his final decade, he lived away from show business farming in Nassau and guiding local community projects. Hollywood rarely acknowledged his absence, and he appeared in no major entertainment media until his passing from stroke complications in 2007. His departure wasn't abrupt, it was calm and intentional. Lockhart's self-imposed exile raises powerful questions. How many artists long for a simpler life, beyond fame's glare? Can you honor your craft by abandoning its spotlight? Today, Calvin Lockhart is remembered not just for his performances, but for redefining success on his terms, embracing a quiet life when he could have stayed in lights. His story reminds us that sometimes the bravest act of fame is knowing when to disappear. Miguel Núñez Jr. Miguel A. Núñez Jr. established himself in the 1990s as a prominent character actor with memorable roles in comedies like Juana Man, 2002, where he played a basketball player masquerading as a woman, and Life, 1999, opposite Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence. He also co-starred in the UPN series Sparks, 1996 to 1998, showcasing a blend of comedic timing and relatable charm. During this period, Núñez Jr. seemed primed for even greater heights. Production insiders noted his warm screen presence and professionalism. But by the mid-2000s, his appearances in mainstream film and television had noticeably declined. Rather than headline big-budget features, he shifted toward independent projects, web series, and local theater, suggesting a strategic decision rather than industry dismissal. Rumors circulated that he was experiencing personal issues, possibly linked to finances or family matters. In interviews, Núñez Jr. generally maintained a low profile about private life, fueling speculation rather than quashing it. People familiar with his work say he simply grew disillusioned with repetitive character roles and Hollywood's typecasting patterns. Instead, he pursued fulfillment beyond celebrity, seeking authenticity over acclaim. Today, although Miguel Núñez Jr. is rarely seen in mainstream media, he hasn't disappeared completely. His passion still surfaces in smaller-scale productions and occasional director credits. He exemplifies a gentler form of vanishing, a transition away from stardom into quieter, creative spaces. Unlike many who burn out or depart tragically, Núñez Jr.'s story is one of gradual withdrawal, a personal choice to redefine his path without fanfare or drama. Garron Taylor. Garron Taylor first captured attention in the mid-2000s as a confident, stylish teenager on BET's reality series Baldwin Hills. which followed the lives of affluent black youth in Los Angeles. Known for her poised charisma and fashion-forward presence, she appeared on the show from its inception in 2007. Many believed she was poised to parlay reality TV fame into modeling or acting. Her elegance and self-assurance suggested she could thrive in entertainment. Yet, after the later seasons of Baldwin Hills, Taylor slipped out of the public eye. She didn't leverage her visibility as many reality stars do. Instead, she stepped away. Though still active on social media, Taylor avoided industry events, casting calls, and interviews. Unlike some contemporaries who transitioned into public platforms, she chose privacy, perhaps to pursue education, personal interests, or simply avoid the spotlight's glare. Perspectives from her fans highlight a sense of silent departure more than scandal. Tragically, in early 2021, Taylor passed away at the age of 30 due to complications related to lupus, an autoimmune disease she had privately battled. Her death shocked fans who remembered her vivacious spirit from the show. In retrospect, her quiet absence reflects a complex journey. A young woman who entered public consciousness with grace, yet declined to persist in it, whether from necessity or choice. Garen Taylor reminds us that success doesn't always equate to public longevity. Her story underscores the fragility of fame and the importance of recognizing unseen personal struggles. Though she vanished from media attention after Baldwin Hills, her impact remains in the hearts of those who admired her, serving as both a cautionary tale and a testament to the value of boundaries in a world that seldom grants them. Julius Carry. Julius Carry rose to fame as the unforgettable Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem, in the 1985 cult classic, The Last Dragon. His performance was bold, comedic, and unapologetically memorable, earning him cult status among genre fans. Beyond this breakout role, Carey appeared in Pee-wee's Playhouse and numerous television series where his distinct voice and commanding presence made him a sought-after character actor. During the 1990s and early 2000s, Carey continued working steadily, though roles often placed him in the background of larger productions. He contributed memorable turns to various shows and films, yet never recaptured the iconic status Shonuff afforded him early in his career. Over time, his appearances became more sporadic, suggesting a matchup between his growing frustration with typecasting and Hollywood's preference for certain archetypes. By the mid-2000s, Carey's visibility had declined significantly. He did not announce retirement or shift into public behind-the-scenes work. Instead, he grew increasingly private. Industry observers noted his absence, but found no scandal, just a gradual retreat from the spotlight. Colleagues mentioned his desire for more varied roles, free from being pigeonholed into quirk or villain archetypes. In 2008, at the age of 57, Carey died from pancreatic cancer. His passing prompted tributes from fans and those who remembered his iconic screen persona, but for many, his departure from acting had already been a long-awaited goodbye. His story illustrates the highs of cult celebrity and the uphill struggle character actors face in diversifying their portfolios and sustaining long-term visibility. Merlin Santana. Merlin Santana emerged in the late 1990s as one of the most promising young black actors of his generation. He first appeared as Stanley on The Cosby Show, but it was his role as Romeo on The Steve Harvey Show, 1996 to 1999, that truly cemented his reputation. With an easy charm, comedic timing, and on-screen charisma, Santana captured the hearts of teenagers and African-American audiences alike. As Romeo, he portrayed a smooth, aspirational character who felt relatable and authentic, not to mention subtly humorous, making him a standout in teen sitcoms of the era. Santana's trajectory suggested a gradual shift from teenage stardom to serious adult roles. By the early 2000s, he chose projects more selectively, stepping back from the relentless pace of youthful fame and focusing on roles that suited his evolving image. Industry insiders noted his thoughtfulness. He wasn't chasing visibility as much as he was seeking meaningful, age-appropriate characters. Friends observed that he was balancing ambition with maturity, establishing both professional boundaries and personal direction. Tragically, Santana's promising ascent came to a brutal halt on November 9, 2002. At just 26 years old, he was shot and killed while sitting in a car in Los Angeles' Crenshaw district. The incident, though quickly investigated, shook the entertainment community. Colleagues described his death as senseless and shocking, a raw interruption of a career still gathering momentum. His friends and co-stars mourned not just the end of a life, but the future work stories and performances lost forever. Unlike other Hollywood tragedies, Santana's case did not stem from scandal or health crises. It was a sudden act of violence. The circumstances unraveled swiftly. Those responsible were apprehended within months, and the legal proceedings reached resolution by 2004. Despite that, his absence left an unfillable void in family, community, and entertainment circles. His legacy endures through reruns and nostalgia, reminding viewers of what he achieved and what remained unwritten. Santana's disappearance doesn't come with a slow fade or private withdrawal. It was an abrupt, heart-wrenching end. His unfulfilled potential and untimely death continue to resonate because they highlight the fragility of life and the unreality of promise cut short. He will always be remembered for his warmth, talent, and the roads he would have walked had he been given the time. Jason Bernard. Jason Bernard began his career on television in the 1970s and quickly became a reliable, authoritative presence. He portrayed figures of responsibility such as principals, doctors, and government officials, most memorably Stephen Falcon's aide at NORAD in War Games 1983 and Vice Principal Buchanan in The White Shadow. Throughout the 1980s and early 1990s, Bernard guest starred on shows like Hill Street Blues, LA Law, and Cagney and Lacey, consistently delivering measured performances that reflected both gravitas and skill. To casting directors, he was a consummate professional. To audiences, a trustworthy fixture. However, by the early 1990s, Bernard's on-screen appearances declined. His final prominent role came in the TV movie For the Love of Nancy 1994, where he played a doctor treating Tracy Gold's character for anorexia. After that, projects became sporadic and less high-profile, though he continued to take smaller roles and television guest spots until shortly before his death. Despite remaining active, he no longer commanded the same visibility and public attention, slowly shifted elsewhere. On October 16, 1996, Jason Bernard died suddenly from a heart attack at age 58. The news caught many by surprise, not because his death was scandalous, but because the industry had already largely moved on. Unlike some peers who receive extensive tributes and media coverage, Bernard's passing yielded few major headlines. Obituaries were modest, and there were no dedicated tribute episodes or public remembrances on prominent shows. His death felt muted, like the quiet end to a significant yet understated career. In reflecting upon Bernard's life, we recognize the often overlooked roles that character actors play in storytelling. He brought structure and credibility to every scene, elevating projects with stability and nuance. His fading presence on screen mirrored the scattershot spotlight that character actors often experience, visible then forgotten, without scandal or farewell. Jason Bernard didn't vanish in tragedy or controversy. He simply slipped away professionally and personally from public view. He passed away as he'd lived steadily, reliably, yet gently fading into memory. His contributions to the fabric of 1980s and 90s television remain embedded in familiar cultural moments, even if his name isn't widely invoked today. His story serves as a reminder not all performers exit in tragedy. Some drift away quietly, leaving behind a body of work remembered more than the man himself. Lloyd Avery II. Lloyd Avery II delivered a chilling performance in Boys in the Hood 1991, portraying the unnamed gunman whose cold-blooded murder of Ricky became an unforgettable cinematic moment. His startling intensity in just a few minutes on screen showcased a raw and haunting talent, and critics noted he brought authenticity and gravitas to the role, an accomplishment few newcomers achieve. He later appeared in films like Poetic Justice, alongside Janet Jackson and Tupac Shakur, reinforcing his potential as a compelling character actor. However, the boundary between Avery's art and personal life began dissolving. Immersed in urban crime dramas both on and off the screen, he became entangled in real-world violence. By the mid-1990s, he had started running with gangs, distancing himself from auditions and film sets. Then, in 1999, he committed a shocking crime. Avery participated in a drug-related double homicide that ended with his arrest. In 2000, he was found guilty and sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Behind bars at California's notorious Pelican Bay State Prison, Avery's life descended further when in 2005, he was murdered by his cellmate Kevin Roby. That grim conclusion, strangled in his cell, did not just end a life. It concluded a confusing arc between cinema's depictions of crime and the stark reality that followed. The talent that once baked depth into fictional narratives became overshadowed by headlines of real-life violence, leaving fans grappling with the unnerving crossover. Lloyd Avery II's disappearance from Hollywood was neither voluntary nor peaceful. It was a tragic convergence of art environment and desperation, closing a circle from memorable performance to mortal fate. His haunting absence remains as complex as the character he once embodied. Sean Nelson. Sean Nelson stunned audiences as Fresh, the 12-year-old drug courier in the 1994 thriller Fresh. His performance received immediate acclaim. Critics described it as emotionally advanced and hauntingly real, noting that the young actor carried the film's weight with maturity far beyond his years. Directors praised his instincts, predicting he would become a major force in independent and mainstream cinema. Despite this auspicious debut, Nelson's rise abruptly stalled. He took roles in The Secret World of Alex Mack and a handful of TV movies, but none matched the impact of Fresh. By the late 1990s, he had largely vanished from auditions and casting calls. There were no dramatic scandals, no public conflict, only an abrupt end to the promise that surrounded his early work. Nelson never formally quit acting. Rather, his absence became the greatest statement. No official retirement, no pivot into another facet of entertainment. He simply receded. Over time, inquiries into his whereabouts yielded little. Friends reported he stepped away from the spotlight, possibly to pursue education or a different professional path. His voice, once resonant in conversations about rising black talent, hushed without fanfare. Today, Sean Nelson's legacy lives on through Fresh, a film frequently revisited in academic and critic circles. His disappearance underscores a recurring narrative: child actors who shine brilliantly, then dim without explanation. Though specific details of his post-Hollywood life remain private, Nelson's brief moment of brilliance continues to resonate, and his quiet retreat raises critical questions about youth success, systemic support, and what happens when the bright lights fade. Clifton Powell Jr. Clifton Powell Jr., son of respected character actor Clifton Powell Sr., entered Hollywood with a built-in advantage but also immense expectations. In the early 2000s, he appeared in a handful of small films and guest roles on television, demonstrating the earnest on-screen charisma that runs in his family. Yet behind the scenes, Powell Jr. seemed disinterested in pursuing acting as a lifelong vocation, perhaps wary of comparisons or of struggling under the weight of his father's legacy. Instead, he shifted gears dramatically. Departing from Hollywood's audition circuits, he immersed himself in college basketball, chasing athletic aspirations rather than roles. Later, he pivoted again, this time into the tech sphere, joining startups and exploring entrepreneurship. According to social media posts, he remained driven yet mostly private, seldom speaking publicly about his entertainment background. Industry insiders who worked with him recall a young man deliberate in his decisions, someone who chose to step away before the spotlight could burn him out. Unlike peers who spin off into public-facing ventures, Powell Jr. actively avoided interviews and events linked to his father or personal brand. This choice wasn't due to scandal. It stemmed from a desire to define success on his own terms. While some critics suggest he ghosted Hollywood deliberately to break free from unwanted expectations, the details remain his own. Today, Powell Jr. lives with minimal media attention. His story isn't one of disappearance, but of recalibration. A person who inherited an industry, but chose to chart his own course, prioritizing basketball and tech over the pressure-laden stage of entertainment. Yvonne Hudson. Yvonne Hudson stepped into one of television's toughest arenas during Saturday Night Live's tumultuous 1980 to 1981 season, a time many consider the show's low ebb. As one of the first black cast members during that era, she was initially featured in background and sketch roles alongside rising star Eddie Murphy. Yet this fraught season was infamous for its instability, writer turnover, poor ratings, and NBC's looming threat to cancel. Surprisingly, Hudson remained through 1984, while many of her trainee castmates were replaced. Despite enduring laughter's hardest tests, she never parlayed the experience into broader fame. After departing the show, she made no appearances in subsequent television series or films. No interviews, no comedy clubs, no reunions. She simply exited the industry completely. Unlike more prominent SNL alumni such as Murphy or Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Hudson left without trace. Almost no records shine a light on her post-1984 life. As documentaries recount SNL's history, Hudson's name barely appears, if at all. There are no Speaks memoirs or retrospectives from her. Screenwriters and producers who worked on the show seldom mention her. She remains absent from behind-the-scenes accounts and oral histories. Her disappearance exemplifies the fallout of an ensemble caught in one of SNL's weakest chapters. Her faint presence in archival footage stands in stark contrast to her complete absence afterward. Hudson didn't exit with scandal, illness, or scandal. She vanished through silence. Today, Yvonne Hudson remains an enigmatic footnote, a black woman whose presence helped sustain SNL during its difficult phase, yet whose fate afterward remains a blank page. Her story raises questions about representation, recognition, and who gets remembered in the annals of pop culture history. Sheldon Turnipseed. Sheldon Turnipseed seized hearts as Jamal Jenkins on PBS's Ghostwriter 1992-1995, a show praised for celebrating diversity and intellect among urban youth. Viewers were drawn to Jamal's problem-solving curiosity and steady intellect. Sheldon imbued the role with quiet confidence, becoming a visible role model for kids craving reflections of their own experiences. His performance won admiration and lifelong nostalgia. Yet when Ghostwriter concluded, so did Turnipseed's visibility. Despite ample opportunity to pursue acting theater or voiceover work, he vanished from the public stage. There were no pivot moves into mainstream television, film, or education. No interviews. No community initiatives connected to his television debut. He didn't appear at fan conventions. Instead, he retreated entirely, choosing a path of anonymity. In the years following, industry colleagues attempted to reconnect, no success. Some speculated that Sheldon returned to school or family life, prioritizing normalcy over notoriety. Others suggested he pursued an entirely different career, far from Hollywood's glare. In the absence of credits or public statements, his silence speaks most loudly. Sheldon Turnipseed reminds us that not every performer who delights in youth entertainment wants adulthood exposure. His departure wasn't drama, but a quiet refusal, an artist stepping off center stage without explanation. In today's era, obsessed with where are they now, his disappearance is radical. The answer simply isn't there. Instead, his story lives on in reruns, memories, and a comforting notion that some exits are intentional and some luminaries simply choose to let the light go. Orlando Jones. Orlando Jones rose to recognition in the early 2000s as the spirited face of 7-Up commercials, introducing the catchphrase, "Make 7-Up yours." His bombastic physical comedy and impeccable timing made him memorable in media campaigns. Not long after, he transitioned to acting roles, most notably on MADP, where he demonstrated versatility through original characters and impressions. He also appeared in Evolution 2001 and Drumline 2002, expanding his range and promising a sustained career in feature films. Then around 2005, Jones began to recede from mainstream visibility. He was no longer a frequent guest on late-night shows, nor did he headline major movie roles. Instead, he opted for smaller-scale projects, independent films, voiceover work, or guest roles absent from red carpets and glossy publicity. There was no acrimonious departure or public blow-up, just an undeniable drop in prominence. Industry insiders attribute his retreat to a desire to escape typecasting the frenetic pitchman or sketch player. Some suggest that after establishing his brand, he grew cautious about repeating the same numerical formula in entertainment. Others feel that representation gaps reduced opportunities for a multi-talented performer like him. Instead of struggling within the system, he receded. Today, Orlando Jones occasionally pops up in cult films or speaking engagements, but without regular mainstream exposure. His silence hasn't stemmed from scandal or burnout, but from choice, a decision to pursue authenticity over celebrity momentum. In an industry that pursues constant reinvention, his disappearing act stands out as purposeful reflection, not avoidance. He didn't vanish, he simply redirected, leaving fans to wonder what energized talent could yet emerge in a new form. Sly Stone. Sly Stone was a revolutionary figure in American music, leading the legendary funk and soul band Sly and the Family Stone in the late 1960s and 1970s. With hits like Dance to the Music and Everyday People, he created a sound that blended race rhythm and rebellion in a way no one had before. His stage presence was electrifying, his lyrics socially conscious, and his influence undeniable. But as the years passed, Sly's personal life began to unravel. His struggles with substance abuse were no secret, and by the early 1980s his output had slowed to a trickle. He was showing up late or not at all to performances, forgetting lyrics and becoming more unpredictable. After 1982, he largely disappeared from the public eye. Whispers spread, was he homeless? Living in a van, hiding from the world that once worshipped him. His induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993 stunned some fans who thought he might have died. Over the years, sporadic sightings and brief interviews only deepened the mystery. He never launched a major comeback, nor did he offer explanations. He moved frequently, changed his name, and retreated further from the spotlight. Sly Stone didn't just step away, he erased the trail. For someone who had once shaped culture, his exit was hauntingly silent. His self-imposed disappearance turned him from icon to enigma. Whether by necessity or choice, he became a living ghost of funk, his story a reminder that even the brightest stars can choose to fade. In a world hungry for answers, Sly gave us none, and in doing so became even more unforgettable. Dave Chappelle. In 2005, Dave Chappelle stood atop the world of comedy. Chappelle's show was a cultural phenomenon, delivering biting satire, racial commentary, and unforgettable sketches. Comedy Central had just handed him a $50 million deal to continue the show, cementing him as one of the most powerful voices in entertainment. Then, without warning, he vanished. Midway through filming season 3, Dave packed up and disappeared to South Africa. No announcement, no press conference, just silence. His sudden exit sparked wild rumors, a mental breakdown, rehab, even death. The truth turned out to be far more profound. Chappelle later explained that he had grown deeply uncomfortable with how audiences were interpreting his work, laughing at rather than with black culture. The money, the fame, the pressure, it all became too much. For several years, he remained off the grid. He didn't perform. He didn't do interviews. He turned down offers and avoided cameras. He was gone, not because he had to be, but because he chose to be. When he returned, it wasn't with loud fanfare. It was slow, calculated, and intentional. Netflix specials replaced skits. Philosophical stand-up replaced punchlines. Dave had changed, and so had the comedy world. He wasn't the same man who walked off that set. He was sharper, darker, more deliberate. Chappelle's disappearance wasn't about failure. It was about integrity. He didn't vanish because he couldn't handle success. He vanished because he refused to let success redefine him. His absence became a powerful statement in an industry that demands everything. Walking away can be the boldest act of all. Brandon Hammond. In the 1990s, Brandon Hammond was everywhere. His soulful eyes and moving performances made him the emotional anchor of films like Soul Food 1997, where he played Ahmad, the young narrator who held his fractured family together. He also starred in Waiting to Exhale the Fan, and even Space Jam, sharing the screen with some of the biggest names in the industry. His maturity, depth, and poise made him one of the most beloved black child actors of his time. And then he was gone. Unlike others whose careers were derailed by scandal, tragedy, or burnout, Brandon's disappearance was quiet, almost graceful. As the early 2000s unfolded, his roles stopped appearing. He didn't flounder into obscurity or make headlines for poor behavior. He simply stepped away. There were no official statements, no farewell interviews, no dramatic exits. Fans speculated, had he grown tired of Hollywood? Was he pursuing school writing? Directing rumors hinted he had moved behind the camera, but public confirmation remained sparse. Hammond never sought the spotlight again. No social media campaigns, no nostalgia tours, just silence. His story is unique in its simplicity. In a world where child stars often struggle to transition into adult fame, Hammond made a rare move. He chose not to transition at all. He left while the memories were still golden. Brandon Hammond didn't vanish in pain or drama. He vanished in peace. And that makes his story all the more mysterious and dignified. He will always be remembered as the boy with wisdom beyond his years who chose to walk away before Hollywood could change him. In a world obsessed with fame, why do so many black talents quietly disappear without warning or tribute? From child prodigies to legendary performers, their vanishing acts reveal deeper truths about Hollywood's silence, typecasting, and neglect. Were they forgotten by the industry, or did they choose peace over pressure? At Legends of Black Excellence, we believe these stories deserve to be seen and honored. But what do you think is walking away an act of power or a silent tragedy? Drop your thoughts below, like the video, and subscribe to help us keep these hidden legacies alive.